Welcome to the Happy, Healthy Life Podcast with your hosts, Rob and Randy, who reveal the truth, the lies, and confusion about health so that you are no longer the victim to mainstream medical dogma and you are the hero to your own happy, healthy story.
Hey there, and welcome back to a very special episode of the Happy, Healthy Life Podcast with your host, Rob and
Randy.
And we are
the Happy,
Healthy Guys.
What's
hey, if you've
up,
ever
Dr.
felt,
Rob?
Oh, it's good to see you. It's going to be a great episode today, especially for those people. If you've ever felt like losing weight is a battle, this episode is going to change the way you look and see fat loss metabolism and what it actually takes to get your body working. And as you can probably tell, we are not in the same place today. We're not in the usual Happy Healthy Guys studio. I'm in San Antonio, Texas. Dr. Randy, where are you at right now?
I'm back here in right outside of headquarters here in the beautiful Grapevine area, the west side of Dallas here. So beautiful day here. It's gorgeous. It's sunny. Looks sunny there in San Antonio. So glad to be on today. I know going into this episode, some of the things we're going to discuss, I think, are going to be really eye-opening for many, many people today.
It is. And what got me thinking about today's episode and talking is really the methodology that we use to be able to help people to get their body healthier, to get their metabolism healing. And it happened when I was talking to my sister. So I'm in San Antonio right now because it was my nephew's graduation from high school. So we went down for the graduation festivities. And so coming from if you're in a Latin culture, graduation doesn't happen in just one day. It's like a whole week-long thing. And the great thing about this was that when I got into town, one of the first people that I saw was my sister, Sarah. And so my sister, Sarah, has been one of those people who knows what it is that we do. I know she's proud of what it is that I do and what we've done with Happy Healthy. However, she's also been that person that's like, that sounds great. I know I need to lose some weight, but doing Happy Healthy and going through your metabolism program, it could be hard because I'm that person that I have to eat all day long. If I don't eat and I'm not snacking all day long, then I'm going to get hangry. You're not going to want to be around me. And I've experienced my sister when she's hangry, and she isn't fun to be around. I'm the first person to say that, and her family members would say that as well. But here's what's great. She finally decided to do the program. We were on a trip, and we were in Nashville probably almost 2 months ago. And when we were on that trip, we were just talking. She was watching what it is that I was doing, how it is that I was eating. She was talking about how she really needed to do something to lose some of the extra weight that she had gained. And she started asking questions about our program. And by the end of the trip, she was like, okay, I'm in. I want to do the program. And she did exactly that. I was proud of her, even just for making that decision to do it. Well, here we are, 4 weeks into program for her. As soon as I saw her, I was like, oh my gosh, she looks radiant, beautiful, high energy. She's lost 15 pounds in only 4 weeks.
It's incredible.
It is incredible. Today starts day 1 of her 5th week of program. And if you've heard us talk about our program, the way our system works is there's 5 weeks where we're retraining your body's metabolism, which is the active portion of your body's metabolism healing and you losing weight. And over the course of the weekend, during these graduation festivities, people kept on coming up to me going, oh my gosh, Sarah looks so good. She looks so happy. She's lost so much weight. And we're so excited for her. And then here it comes. They would say, yeah, that's not something that I don't think that I could ever do because that looks hard. And I was like, that's interesting to me because when you talk to Sarah, now that she's doing this and healing her metabolism, that's not a word that she uses at all, even though she used to use it. And so what I started thinking about was the technology that we use to be able to help people's metabolism healed is exactly that. It's a technology. And I'm not talking about like tech in the sense of using a computer or using something that's electronic. What I'm talking about is a true definition of the word technology. What a technology is something that it's a man-made system that creates efficiency and creates results in an easier way than somebody could have done using traditional methods or methodologies. And so I was thinking about that because the traditional methodology and the lens that people are looking at what it is that my sister is doing, or people who have gone through our metabolism program, the lens that they're looking at it from is not through a system or a method that heals their metabolism, but they're looking at it through a lens of diet or exercise, which is all about deprivation. So anytime you're depriving the body of doing anything, that right there is already fighting a losing battle. And if anybody's ever fought a losing battle, that right there is what makes it sound hard. So, Dr. Randy, when it comes to our method and our system, you know, because you've heard people say these things before as well, why do you think the biggest reason is that somebody would say that, okay, healing your metabolism or doing what it is that you guys teach people to do, either through your podcast or through your programs, why would you say that someone would say that that looks hard?
Yeah, well, first off, also congrats to Sarah.
Oh my
So
gosh.
proud of her, and just knowing how, this busy mom getting kids everywhere and job and life and marriage and all the things that fall on her plate. Really, really cool to know that it's doable and that she's doing great. So big shout out to Sarah. I think going
Oh
back to
yeah,
your
yeah, through preparing. And by the way, for the moms out there, is that she was doing that through so they've got a set of twins and then two other children. So four children, all at the end of the school year and preparing for a graduation and all the things that come around that. So anybody that's ever said, hey, I can't start this whatever right now because I'm busy. She right there is the epitome of busy and still rocking a healthier metabolism.
Yeah, it was already hard with just life in general. Being not your healthiest self makes it even more hard. But I think going back to the question that you asked is, why would somebody look at somebody doing a program, specifically our program, and go, wow, that looks really hard, or that's not something that I could do? I think it's coming from that place where you're looking at it through that lens of being on a diet, right? Because dieting really, really is hard. And one of the reasons dieting is so hard is because you're having to cut calories for the rest of your life. It's not something you can just do for a few weeks or a few months and lose weight, because when you come off of that and you add maybe a certain macro back in, or you increase your calories, the weight comes back, and it will typically come back with a vengeance. And now you're back in that diet yo-yo, that merry-go-round, where you're going to have to do a diet again. And it takes a lot of self-discipline for a very long time to be able to get just a decent result that's not even going to be sustainable. In fact, I was thinking, if you were really wanting to torture somebody, and taking medieval torture out of the picture, because I've been in castles over in Europe where you look at medieval torture devices and that looks pretty scary. But outside of that, if you were, the second best way to torture anyone would be to do it, say, the next 50 years of your life. You're going to have to deprive yourself of calories, and you're going to have to make sure that whatever you eat, you're going to have to somehow burn more than you eat through physical activity. And the second you don't play by these rules, I will sentence you to a lifetime of obesity, inflammation, depression, chronic disease, and a lifetime dependency on prescription drugs. And I'm obviously saying that a little bit tongue in cheek, but really, that really is torture when you're not allowed to be able to eat food and enjoy life, or even have guilt associated with it, where almost to the point now eating has become a sin versus a part of nourishing our body, creating community, building relationships, and enjoying that part of life. So I think the diet is hard thing is typically coming from a diet mindset where, of course, our program, our technology, and the sophistication with piecing everything together to create this metabolic outcome, it's definitely not a diet, and it's definitely not something you would follow for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and I like that you said that. Even when you mentioned technologies, I'm thinking about that. Really, a technology is a system and a method versus a diet is going to be more like a tactic.
Yeah.
It's what you
Mm.
do right then in that very moment, but it's not something that you could ever sustain, like you said, to a lifetime being damned into eternity on that yo-yo, which no thank you. And I think the other thing too with diets, they fail because they create when we talk about this deprivation
Mhm.
or this restriction in the things that you can eat for a long period of time, that right there creates stress. And anytime you create stress, we already know that automatically is going to create a hormonal imbalance inside your body that's going to also create even more stress. And because you're putting that stress onto your body, that puts your body into a state of fat storage because your body is thinking that chronically, I'm going to be like this for a long time. And I want to utilize that energy later on down the road. And then what people also don't realize is that that cortisol that goes up with the stress hormone, that's catabolic, meaning that that's going to break down your body at a cellular level. That's going to break down muscle. That's going to decrease your energy. That's going to increase inflammation. That's going to increase all the things that you do not want in life because you're depriving yourself of things that your body really needs. So what is it then that you would say, Dr. Randy, what would you say then makes what it is that we do with Happy Healthy and our metabolic solution to this metabolic problem that we have? What makes it different than, and what makes this technology different than what everybody else is doing or what everybody else has been taught?
Yeah, well, what everybody else is doing is clearly not working because we have more of these type calorically based programs out there. More education on the latest diets and how to move your body more to burn more calories. Yet we are in a metabolic crisis. So clearly, what everybody else is doing is not working. But it kind of goes back to what we were talking about when we're talking about a diet. A diet really, it's putting yourself into a place where your body thinks there's a famine, right? That there's no access to food. And so, our bodies, as we know, are so smart. The body's never trying to kill you, it's always trying to heal you. So, metabolically speaking, if you're on these long term calorically restricted diets, your body is going to slow down its metabolic rate, not to hurt you, but to help protect you because it's thinking I've got to store calories as fat. That way I'm not going to die. And then when there's food again, I can now raise my metabolism up higher, but it's going to lower it and drop it to protect the body and store all the fat. So what we ran into is when people would typically come to see us, whether it used to be in our clinical practices or now online in the virtual space, is we're finding out it's 100% across the board that people are in these really low energy famine type states where you talked about their stress hormones are high, their metabolic hormones are low, and anything and everything they eat, they store it as body fat. And it doesn't matter how much they exercise, it doesn't matter how few calories they eat, it really becomes a zero sum game because when your metabolism is slowing down, it does not matter. You will hang on to every single thing. And that really answers maybe the question for a lot of people who they're like, wow, I don't even hardly eat anything and I live in the gym, yet I can't get rid of all this body fat. Your body is protecting you, it is doing the right thing. So, one of the things that we've been able to do with people, and it's so critical to our technology and the pieces that and the dots that we connect metabolically, is we have to get people, as you know, out of this really low energy state. Because it's kind of counterintuitive because, people think, well, I want to lose weight, so I don't want to eat more. I guess I need to eat less. But the truth is, we're actually having to get people out of a low energy state by helping them eat more to even prepare their body to even go into any type of metabolic healing. And this almost never happens with any other type of strategy or tactic like you talked about with dieting. Is you already have probably been a chronic yo-yo dieter who's really lost the same 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds over and over. you're metabolically weak, you're in a famine type state, high stress, low energy. If you can imagine trying to start a diet on Monday after you've already been in this low energy, toxic, inflamed state. It's kind of like if you were going to go run a marathon and the strategy leading up to the marathon was you're going to eat hardly no nutrients, you're going to be in a stressful state, you're going to not get good sleep, right? You're going to be in a stressful relationship. You're not going to get any sunlight, and you're going to basically get drunk half the nights out of the week. We're going to get you prepped and ready to run a marathon. But that's essentially where a lot of people are starting from, is they don't know how to get the prep work in, and it doesn't take very long, but how to get their body out of low energy into high energy so they've got the resources available to now go through that healing process. Because you cannot heal in a stressed out, famine based state where your body doesn't have the nutrients it even needs to heal, repair, recover, and regenerate.
Thank you so much for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. And as always, if you don't know what's going on with your metabolism and you want to find out, go to metabolismscore.com.
Hey guys, thanks so much for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. And if you're wondering about our Happy Healthy Metabolism products, go to thehappyhealthylife.com and at checkout, use promo code podcast to save 10% off any of our products.
Sounds like you were talking about that whole preparation for that marathon. It sounds like you were talking about me back in college, because I can guarantee you I probably ran some kind of like 3 or 5Ks in exactly that state that you just said, that was sleep deprived, too much alcohol the night before. Who knows what it is, what kind of nutrients. There were no nutrients going into my body unless you could actually buy it for under $5 for certain. So that's really where you just took my mind back to. Okay, so let's talk about then. Okay, so pillars then of a system. So if we're looking at my sister, for example, because order matters. Order in the way something happens in a system absolutely matters. No different than if you were going to be baking a cake. The order of how you put the ingredients together matters. And so, like he was just saying, in order to be able to get your body into a high energy state, you need preparation. You know, there's the 3 other pillars that we've got to have within a system to be able to make sure that your body is in a healed metabolic state. One of those being making sure that you're then resetting the metabolism at a cellular level, removing toxins from the body. One of the biggest toxins that we always talk about removing from the body is these industrial seed oils. That's important. You got to make sure that that is in there, because it's these toxins that'll stop your body's ability to be able to utilize or efficiently utilize energy for fuel, because the proper nutrients can't even get into the cells if they're toxic. And then we've got to make sure that we're giving the body real quality, nutrient dense foods in order to be able to restore that cellular function with those nutrients. And so nutrients then don't become just one of the things that the body is utilizing for energy. There really is a nutritional intelligence that we're reprogramming the body to be able to have in order to be able to utilize these nutrients in their proper way. And then we've got to re-engage through this sequence. And my sister's getting ready to start into this phase of this pretty soon. So we've got to re-engage the body into metabolic flexibility so that her body can then properly utilize carbohydrates for fuel, utilize fats for fuel and energy as well, and utilize proteins in the right way. But there's got to be a sequence leading up to this, because as I was talking to her, and this is where the metabolic flexibility component is so huge, and this is where all diets fail, is that when I was having a conversation with her last night, we're sitting at the dining room table, and we're talking about how much easier life is now that she's on program and how much better that she's feeling. And it wasn't hard like she thought it was going to be. She wasn't depriving herself. And I go, well, okay, I get it. You don't feel like you're depriving yourself, but what's the one food, as soon as you come off of doing the program, what's the one food that you really want to eat? And she thought about it. And I thought she was going to say, knowing my sister, I thought she was going to say something that had sugar in it. Wasn't a sugar food at all. She goes, it would be tortillas. We're Latin. And she said tortillas, not in the sense of like a flour tortilla. She had gone to eat at a graduation dinner earlier at a Mexican restaurant, and they were eating the tortilla chips before the meal. So for her, it was eating tortilla chips and salsa. That's the one food that she wants to be able to eat. Here's the great thing about getting people into a scenario and a situation where their body is now metabolically flexible. She doesn't have to be scared about eating a tortilla chip, and she doesn't have to be scared that that's going to cause her to gain weight. Where people who are on a diet are going, oh my God, that's going to have way too many calories. If I have too many calories, and that right there is going to cause my body to want to gain weight or store more fat. That's not the case when your body is metabolically flexible. And if you listen to a lot of our podcasts, we talk about this seesaw effect when it comes to energy, with utilizing your body, utilizing either carbohydrates for fuel or using fats for fuel. And you can go back and listen to that. But the point here is that you have to get your body into a state where you can be metabolically flexible, because it's not about eliminating carbohydrates. It's not about eliminating fats. It's not about eliminating these macronutrients that your body needs in order to be able to properly burn or utilize properly or efficiently use energy for fuel. And so why would you say then for like my sister, because she's not really craving anything, I think that the tortilla chip thing for her is more of a habit, right? It's like a social habit, especially when you live in San Antonio. You're going to be eating at a Mexican food restaurant eventually, and people are going to be eating chips and salsa. I think that's the next step. Once she starts literally learning how to be able to live happy, healthy for life, she'll start learning, okay, why, what that tortilla chip was cooked in, why that actually matters. And that's a conversation for a different day. But she really isn't having any cravings. I think that's more of a habitual type of thing, because I know even for myself, I was eating at a Mexican restaurant yesterday, and I'm eating guacamole, and instead of chips with the guacamole, I'm getting my good healthy fats, and I'm utilizing vegetables to be able to dip it into. But I guess my question is, with our system, Dr. Randy, why would you say that it feels easy for people when they're doing it through this system that we take them through, where they really have less cravings, and while having less cravings for things like sugar, they actually have more energy than they've ever had? Because my sister, and doing all the things that she's doing right now with graduation, she has crazy amounts of energy. Why do you think that's happening?
Well, it goes back to following a technology or a system designed to correct the cause of a problem, which is once again getting to creating a metabolic foundation that's strong versus manipulating calories to lose weight only to gain it back, because you never fully address the metabolic issue. When you're metabolically strong, and you made reference to it, when you're metabolically flexible, you've got the ability to burn fat for energy, you've got the ability to burn carbohydrates for energy. Those cravings do go away because now your body craves nutrients. And nutrients actually create satiety, or that feeling of being full. Calories don't actually create it. I mean, at some point it probably could. If you were eating 5,000, 10,000 plus calories, you would probably get full at some point. But people aren't overeating nutrients, they're really overeating fake food based off cravings because they don't have strong metabolic flexibility. It kind of goes back to when we were talking about what really makes our system unique, Dr. Rob, as you know, we're prepping people to get them out of that low energy state. And then we kick off their metabolic rehabilitation, so to say, with a reawaken day. And that day is so important to the steps in our process, because when people come to us, if you're overweight, if you're inflamed, if you're medicated, if you don't have good metabolic health, you're going to be a sugar burner. And so what that means is you're going to have tons and tons of cravings. And then it's a double whammy, because not only are you burning sugar for energy and have tons of cravings, is you can't even burn fat, and it's sitting on your body everywhere, in your arms, your belly, your hips, your thighs, your love handles. So you store fat, you burn sugar, you got these horrible sugar cravings. So we have a process where we're actually dosing our clients with short chain fats, so we can actually give them energy fats their body can finally start to use for maybe the first time in many, many years. Because if you can't burn fat, you'll never to be effectively able to burn sugar and conquer and heal your metabolism. So there's going back to the technology, the prep work, the use of short chain fatty acids to give the body usable fat energy. We're prepping that body and laying that foundation to go through our system to heal their metabolism versus having to be on a diet the rest of your life. And almost like you have to become unhealthy to lose weight on a diet versus you never want to be, lose weight to get healthy. You want to get healthy to lose weight. And that's really working from a metabolic foundation.
Yeah, I love that you said that. I can't wait to, one of the people that says that all the time is Benazati. We'll be seeing him here in the next few days
Yeah.
in Austin, Texas, as we head that way tomorrow. But one of the practical things I'm listening to you talk about creating a scenario where you have more satiety for people who are listening right now and they're like, okay, what's one thing that I can do right now to be able to prep my body? And it wouldn't be depriving your body of fats, it would be adding fats to your body. And one of the healthiest fats that you could add to your body, and even just doing one tablespoon a day, would be utilizing SCT, or these short chain triglycerides. You would have loved it. Last night, I gave my mom her birthday present. So her birthday was on May 18th. I hadn't seen her since then, and this is the first time that I was seeing her. She was opening up the birthday present, and I had given her really a happy, healthy products package as part of her birthday present. She smiled the biggest for all of the birthday presents for the bottle of SCT oil. And her exact quote was, "Oh my gosh, this is what I've been wanting," was the SCT oil. It was so cute. I took a photo of it. I'll post it into our method group as well, because she was so cute about it. But she also understands that, you know what, when it does come to having better satiety, she's not craving anything, especially when she's utilizing that SCT oil for fuel, just because of the effect, really the therapeutic effect that it does have on the body, and the fact that it is healthy. It is a full spectrum oil. Makes me happy that she loves it, and anybody else that utilizes SCT oil absolutely loves that as well. So that's one of the things that you could do from a practical level, and you can get it. Shameless plug, sctoil.com. I think it's a good place for us to pause right now, Dr. Randy, and even talk about the SCT oil and why that's such a critical component of these pillars of our system to set a really good, healthy metabolic foundation for them. So can you speak to, why is it that the SCT, or the short chain triglycerides, is so critical into having better metabolic health?
Yeah, they're vital. In fact, they're really the molecular link between your nutrition, your gut-brain axis, and your overall health. Your body can make these. You can definitely directly source them, but a lot of people just don't have the metabolic health or the microbiome health to really generate and make these fats. These fats are utilized really in the colon, and the mitochondria use them to create massive amounts of energy. So these short chain fats, one of the beautiful pieces to these type fats is these were fats we stumbled on over 15 years ago in our travels over in southern Spain, where you see a lot of healthy people. And at that time, I was actually going through this chronic disease called cancer, this metabolic condition that I was in, and we were finding that my body was really deficient in a lot of these short chain fats, which are going to prime the gut, the brain, the liver for fat burning, for healing. I mean, your liver can't even detox properly if you don't have these type fatty acids. And so learning about these fats, eating a lot of the foods over there that were rich in these fats, especially a lot of the aged cheeses, us coming back into the States wanting to create this product. And man, I'm so glad that we did, because there's been nothing like it out there still to this day that has this pure source of SCT, short chain triglyceride oil, that you can start taking and get immediate benefits. One of the reasons we use it on the program, going back to that, there's a special way to use it, because remember, if your body's a sugar burner and you don't burn fat for energy and you store it, you're going to have to give your body an easy source of energy. And this is one of the easiest, most usable sources of energy, because the shorter the chain of the fat, the easier the body can absorb it and utilize it. It doesn't require any bile. There's no enzymes necessary. So for those of you who've maybe had a gallbladder removed, maybe you've got liver congestion. A lot of thyroid people struggle with liver congestion because they can't convert thyroid hormone. They can't burn fat. They store it very easily. This can get right into the portal vein, shuttles these right into your liver. You're going to get direct energy. So you can cook with it. You can put it in your coffee. One of the newest ways to get it really is in the form of a dessert. And so we've got one of our retailers here in the Dallas Fort Worth area, Go Organics. Dorothy is she's a master at creating just these culinary dessert treats, and she's been making a series of functional metabolic desserts using SCT oil. In fact, Noah Syndergaard, a friend of ours who's had a professional baseball player, lives in the area. It's become his new favorite go-to treat. They were posting videos with him eating these new functional treats, talking about SCT oil. Him and his girlfriend absolutely love it. And Dorothy said they can't keep it in stock, especially now being delivered with raw honey and maple syrup and maybe some gelatin or collagen to get a little bit of protein. These are all components that work beautifully to give the body energy, help naturally secrete GLP-1. That's right, it's a natural hormone. You don't have to inject it and get all the other effects that come along with that. It's incredible what can happen when you start dosing your body with these incredibly healthy fats. So sctoil.com, that is there's nothing out there like it, Dr. Rob. We know, and it's still our number one selling product. It is the gift that keeps on giving because you give it to yourself and you're going to keep giving love to everybody else because you cannot eat it and not feel just so happy about the decision that you made. So I'm glad Mama Norma was excited to get her SCT oil.
Yeah, she's super excited about that. So again, as we're closing up this, closing up on the podcast, just remember that, your body, it isn't broken. Okay. It just needs, I guess if we're going back into quote technologies, it just needs the right code. It needs the right operating system to be able to work with in order to be able to get your metabolism, quote, rebooted and have a healthier metabolism. And that's the great thing about systems or technologies is it doesn't rely on willpower. It actually relies on exactly that system that you need in order to be able to get your metabolism right. So if you're looking at orders of being healthy, one of the things that we always teach people is it's really almost impossible or literally impossible to be able to get healthy on a poor metabolic foundation. So you always want to make sure that you've got that metabolic foundation first, and then it opens up the doors to be able to have health like you could have never, ever imagined that you could be able to have. And that's what it is that we had stumbled upon, which is why now our pain, Dr. Randy having had cancer, me, metabolic illness became our purpose. The promise now is for us to be able to literally make it a priority to be able to teach every single person on the planet how to be able to have better metabolic health. So those are my closing words. Dr. Randy, I'm sure you've got some closing words that you'd like to be able to lead the listeners to. I'd love to hear them.
Yeah, no, well said. Listen, don't let people make you think that it's that complicated or it is that hard. It really isn't. A lot of the medical community, even a lot of the functional medicine community, the natural health community, they talk a lot of times almost making it seem like it's only for the genetically elite or for very few people, only for rich people or people that have, these certain level of IQs. I can tell you right now, none of that really matters. I can tell you that the body is designed to heal, and anybody trying to make it complicated or hard is really just creating confusion. So your body is designed to heal. Know that, number one, like you said, our bodies are hardwired to heal. Health is the normal and disease is the abnormal. Don't ever forget that. And then the second thing I would close with is just don't be afraid to ask for help. You know, I, it almost cost me my life. I was so proud. I was so ashamed. I wouldn't ask for help, and I literally put myself into the brink of almost certain death because I was delaying asking for help. So don't be afraid to ask for help. We are here to help you. This is what we do. In fact, where do you start? Go to metabolismscore.com. That's a great place. It's a very short quiz we put together. You can get an actual score on the health of your metabolism. and then we'll give you some things to start doing to start working on getting to the cause of why you're metabolically not healthy. And we can make it so simple, so doable, and the results are just mind blowing. You know, if I could overcome late stage cancer and you could lose 65 pounds, Dr. Rob, there isn't anything really the body can't heal when you create the right environment. And I think if we've done anything really great, we learn from our experience with what we went through to help other people and show you that it can be done. It doesn't have to be that hard. If we can do it, you can do it. And we've made it so easy. So metabolismscore.com, if you're not sure where to start, it's a great place to get going. And we look forward to connecting with each of you and helping you really create outrageous health. It really is something that everybody should have access to. And I love the fact that we get on here every single week and encourage people and tell the truth about real health. We're the most blessed guys in the world.
Amen to that. If you have any comments or you want to hear us talk about certain topics that you want to hear about, or you've got questions, you can always ask us those questions on our Instagram through DM at the H2 Life. That's at the number 2 Life. And we're happy to get back to you. We respond to all of the messages that we get there. So thanks for reaching out. As always, like the show, share it, give us a review. We want to hear from you, and you guys have a happy, healthy day. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. If you enjoy the show, make sure to follow them on Instagram at the H2 Life or on YouTube and Facebook at the Happy Healthy Guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and review the show wherever you listen to podcasts.